We'll begin with sight. We're going to work with awareness on our sight or consciousness of sight. For many able-sighted, it's their primary sense. In that it takes up the most amount of space in the brain to process, and the most processing power kind of goes into our sight. That's why, for example, quite often, from a lot of people, if they meditate, they close their eyes just, because then you can get deeper into the other senses. So first of all, we want to be looking at something in front of us. So if you're looking at a blank wall, probably going to be better to turn around and find something kind of visually stimulating. Now, I invite you to just pick out one thing in front of you and then bring your focus into that one thing. So notice how kind of sharp that is in your image and in your perception. Notice maybe everything around it's quite blurry and you can't really make out what's around. And just keep your focus on this. Can you focus so intently that maybe you start to notice things like sound less? And keeping your focus. If the eye darts off somewhere, then bringing it back. And also if the eye darts off, just observing where it darts off to. So for example, if there was suddenly movement in the background, your eye would probably dart off to that movement. Okay, and then just relaxing. So if you think about that, that was your consciousness was contracted onto that one thing that you were looking at. So there's that a contracted consciousness or awareness. If you think about our daily lives, we have quite a contracted awareness. This will be how we spend most of our time. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's everything. You can't have a constant expanded awareness. It's impossible. Because there's always that cycle of expansion, contraction. So what we're trying to maybe work with is creating a more expanded awareness, and then when we need to, then contracting it. So if we just had an expanded awareness, we wouldn't be able to, for example, focus on the phone screen, because our expansion would be too great. We wouldn't be able to see there. So a contracted awareness is very functional. So we'll try and maybe expand our awareness now on using the sense of sight. So now look at everything in front of you as one. So to start off with, it will probably be quite a soft focus. Just observing. And the eye might, or the consciousness might pick one thing out, move to that, bring it back to try and seeing everything as one. It might be helpful to almost imagine what is in front of you as a 2D picture. So almost like a TV screen in front of you. And then that 2D image in front of you, or the TV screen in front of you, can that image maybe get a little bit sharper? So we're just playing around here. There's no, I can't, I can. It's just a game. It's all we're playing. So trying to maintain that awareness of everything in front of you. Okay, and then you can relax again. So yeah, that was a more expanded awareness. And as you probably noticed, the image in front of you wasn't quite so sharp because your consciousness was a lot more spread out. So we can then play around with flickering between the two, for example. So you could bring your finger up in front of you, contracted awareness. So you're focusing on your finger, and then you can then move to an expanded awareness and then try and focus on everything beyond the finger. So yeah, these are just things to play around with. We don't want to start taking this seriously because then it becomes an ordeal. It's kind of, yeah, it's a game. You're just playing. So yeah, play around with your sight, and as I say, you can do that throughout your day. Just whenever you remember, be like, "Ooh, I'm going to have a little play with my consciousness and the sight," and then see what happens.